Hi, I'm Jack Perenick, and I'm running to be one of your 4 Somerville City Councilors at large this year. I'm running because I love this city, and I want myself, my friends, neighbors, and family to be able to stay in this city for the long term. As a renter, I know what the rising cost of living has done to this city, as so many of my friends have left. I'm dedicated to making sure our council uses the zoning power and land use control that we have to ensure we continue to build more market rate housing in the city that is truly lower cost than what we've been building. I know that if the council uses its zoning power to ensure that in our transit accessible areas, we're building more 3 to 5 level mixed use dwellings that are lower cost to build, we can bring down the cost of living in this city for renters. I'm dedicated to making sure that the council uses those lands and control powers to bring down the costs of living in this city, and that we ensure that the long-term stability of Somerville's housing market trends towards lower costs. I'm also aware that so many of my friends that are having their second child and expanding their families are unable to find places that accommodate them in our city. That's unacceptable. We have to make sure that Somerville is a place where people can live, growing up as a child, to parents, and retiring as seniors. It's incredibly important to me that Somerville meets all of these demands in our housing market, because it's the only way we'll build a community that's able to stay here for their entire lives and is able to continue to contribute to the amazing community that Somerville has. I also want to make sure that long-term residents and seniors who have long been able to afford their properties are able to continue to afford to do so, and that we make some of the most naturally affordable housing, owner-occupied, tenant-rented houses in 1 and 3 unit buildings remain available to people in this city, and that ensures that we don't chase out long-term residents who can no longer afford the rising cost of property taxes in our city. Now, our city has 2 major ways that we collect revenue. Right now, about 75% of those costs fall on the property tax obligations of those who live here. Funding our city by charging higher costs of living is unacceptable, and it requires the long-term planning of our council to ensure that we spread those costs across multiple different sectors of our city. Diversifying this city's commercial work is incredibly important to me, and making sure that the council uses our zoning powers to allow for new industries, including more affordable ground-level retail, new industries, and fabrication in the city is one of the large ways that we have to reduce the long-term cost of living in Somerville and ensure that residents are able to afford not just to live here, but to live their entire lives in this city. I've been very happy to work in the city as a member of some of our master planning teams, and I've seen what long-term planning in order to ensure this city's success is able to achieve, but I'm worried that we're not using all the tools that we have on housing to ensure that that cost of living decreases. I know that having accessible, safe, and wonderful community-run businesses is incredibly important, but that means making sure that there's affordable retail space in our city and that we continue to diversify so that the people who work in incredibly important jobs can do that in Somerville, and our city can capture some of that important revenue. I'm also committed to making sure that as your city councilor, I am the front line of ensuring that we monitor problems as they evolve in city government, and that your city councilors are able to tailor solutions to you and ensure you get the answer from city services that you deserve. I'm also dedicated to being involved, actively tracking issues in the city as they emerge, and making sure that our city government legislates when it needs to change policies that aren't working for residents. I'm dedicated to making sure that our councilors at large are responsive to every neighborhood across this city and every person that needs help from our city government. I want to make sure that we continue to improve upon what works so well in Somerville. I've been really happy to be a part of helping plan some of our next city parks and urban developments, and making sure that our city is sustainable and able to continue to meet our climate goals. I'm also dedicated to making sure that Somerville doesn't stand alone in solving our problems. As a previous advocate for statewide legislation for affordable housing, our climate goals, and long-term electricity generation, I'm dedicated to making sure that Somerville is a leader in state conversations on housing, and that we continue to reduce the cost of ratepayers through electricity and water bills in this city, and ensure that we fund the long-term success of this city on a balanced, fiscally responsible method that doesn't overtax residents and people who can't afford to live here, and ensure that we balance our city's economy on the back of a strong, diversified business community that continues to let Somerville residents shop, enjoy locally, and live in the city that we all love so much. Thank you so much for taking the time to learn about the candidates. If you want to learn more about me, you can go to jackforsomerville.com, and I hope to earn one of your 4 votes in September and November of this year. Thank you.